Alright, hey guys, so I have my bag partially unpacked, so I'm just going to start packing it and explaining some things that I put in my kit. These containers are great. They're plastic and clear, so you can see everything that's in them, but also they're very easy to clean if anything gets on them. So that's why I like them. And then just like the zipper closure is nice and easily accessible. So what I keep in these is usually like prepping products, primers, moisturizers, anything like that. And then also I keep my foundation, concealers, correctors, powders in here, and then I'll do my lip products and eye products right here. So I'm going to start packing it and letting you guys know what I put in these containers right here. So one of the products that I use pretty often in my kit is the MAC Studio Moisture Cream. It's a really nice thick moisturizer, but it's still lightweight enough to where it's not going to make anyone oily. It does have a little bit of a scent to it, but it's pleasant, so it's nothing that's going to cause anyone to have a headache. Next, for moisturizer, I have the Embryolisse Concentrate Cream, if my camera will focus. This is like one of the best creams ever for prepping the skin, but I like to mix this in foundation to make it a little more lighter coverage or dewy. Next, I always keep some of the MAC Strobe Cream, and I keep this in the travel size just because it's smaller and easier to fit in the little pouches. But this is so good. It's obviously a staple in many makeup artist kits because it's just very beautiful and it doesn't cause people to be oily if you put it in the right spots. Also, I could not go anywhere without this Nivea Sensitive Post Shave Balm. This is one of the best primers ever, and I like to keep this big bottle in my kit because I go through it pretty fast, and it's just perfect for prepping the skin, and it's good for pretty much any skin type. Next is the Hourglass Veil Primer. This is my bridal staple. I put this on every bride because it just glides over pores. It makes the skin look so beautiful. If you do have very dry skin, you either need to moisturize very, very well or kind of steer away from this because it is a mineral primer and it does tend to emphasize dryness if you're not careful, but it is so beautiful on brides. I also keep the Dr. Brandt Pores No More and Too Faced Hangover RX Primers in my kit. I think these get the most amount of use in my kit just because I do have a lot of clients that have dry skin, and also they're just so lightweight and beautiful on the skin, and I love very moisturized skin, so I feel like these are perfect for that because they just make everyone's skin look very supple and nice and beautiful. Really quickly, I always like to keep some kind of oil in my kit. So this is just the Tarte Maracuja Oil. I don't use it too often unless someone's very, very dry or I need to mix it with a cream product, but I did want to mention it. Lastly, I just keep these small travel or trial size pore fillers because I change up the ones that I use. I'm never using the same one, so I don't like to keep a full size in my kit. And this is perfect for anyone that's starting out as a makeup artist because you can get these very cheap or for free with your points at Ulta and Sephora. So I would definitely look into it. That way you're not investing too much if you're just starting out, or if you want to keep multiple things on hand, you're able to and not having to spend a fortune. But I love all of these. The Professional is definitely my favorite, but I like them all for different people, so I like to keep every single one in my kit. Alright, so foundation, I have the MAC Studio Fix Fluid in my kit. I have 7 shades, and I don't use a lot of deeper shades just because that's not the clientele that I have, but I do have it just in case, and I'm working on ordering some more so that I have a nice big range of foundation for anyone. Sorry this isn't like focusing super well. But I like this because it's pretty full coverage and you can mix some moisturizer with it if you want to dilute it a little bit and make it a little more sheer or glowy. It is very matte and I'm looking to replace these soon just because I feel like I could find a better foundation for my kit that's a little more versatile, but for now this is what I have and it works. For concealer, I use the Urban Decay Naked Skin. I like this. It's a little less coverage than I would like, so I am working on getting Tarte Shape Tape just because the coverage is like beautiful on that and buildable. But for now, this is what I have. I don't have a lot of shades just because I picked up what I normally use for clients. That will be changing soon because you never know who is going to want their makeup done and I want to be prepared for everyone. But for now, this is what I pack. I also have the LA Girl Pro Conceal. I feel like these all run very warm or pink, so I don't use them often, but if I can, I do because they are very full coverage and I love them. The only thing is the applicator on these are ridiculous and they're not user-friendly at all for makeup artists or really for anyone just doing their makeup. So I wish they would change that because I think they would get a lot more love, but this is just another concealer that I like to keep on hand. Lastly, for this bag, I always keep the LA Girl correctors because they are so opaque and so good and they're so cheap. So it's something that is easy to replenish if you run out and I just love them. Again, the applicator is not the greatest. I never use it. I just squirt it out onto a palette and use a brush, but these are very, very good and they're such a good deal, especially because Ulta has them buy one, get one 50% off all of the time. Powders, I like to keep the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder, and this is the translucent light, but it's actually very translucent, so I can get away with using this on multiple skin tones. So I like that one because it's just a little lightweight. And then of course I have the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. This is a staple in I think everyone's makeup bag, and it's so good for oily skin. So if a bride tells me they're oily, this is the first thing I pull out because it is fabulous and it keeps brides matte all day. Now I'm going to be going into the lips, and for that I always keep the MAC lip conditioner because this is just so good to put on when your client first sits in your chair, so it can sit on their lips and moisturize while you're doing maybe their eyes or their foundation, and then their lips are really nice and moisturized when it comes time to do their lips. Next is lip pencils. These are the most used lip pencils that I use on clients. Of course, tons of nudes and then a few deeper reds and a pink. These are pretty versatile. I can get many lips out of them, and they're all the Pro Long Wear by MAC because they really are just so long wearing, and that's what I like to keep in my kit. A few that I really love and suggest to people are Cultured right here. It's just a really nice nude. It's showing a little more dark on camera, but it's so beautiful. And then also Double Time. And also Double Time because it's just like a pinky nude, but it's not too pink. It's more on the peach side. And then of course Nice and Spicy. These are just the nudes that I suggest because they're so nice and they're really creamy. For liquid lipsticks, I keep generally a lot of ColourPop lipsticks because they're very long wearing, but they are also drying, which I'm going to pick up some of the Makeup Forever liquid lipsticks because I heard that those are more comfortable to wear but still as long wearing. I will say I haven't been a fan of the ColourPop liquid lipsticks just because they show up a totally different color on the tube than they do on skin. So it's kind of frustrating because a client will want me to use one of these and then I swatch it and they don't really like it. So that is why I want to replace them. For this I have one by Wet n Wild. It's called Nudist Peach. This is a pretty common one that I use. And then I have Jeffree Star Family Jewels. I don't use this one too often, but it doesn't suit me, so I put it in my kit. And then I have one by Galactic, and this is in Posh. This one is really pretty, and a lot of clients go for it because it's like that peachy nude color that everyone wants. I love minis again for liquid lipsticks because generally they last a long time and you can fit more in your bag. So I like this one. It's like a mauvey pink, and then this one's like a deep maroon burgundy shade, and then of course like a true red shade. I also have a lip palette, which I'm gonna grab right now, and I keep it in this like netted area right here. And this is by Smashbox. It is their matte lip palette, and I use this pretty often because I can mix shades and it's cream but matte. It doesn't last the longest on the lips, but if you apply a gloss over it, it usually lasts a pretty long time for my clients. And it has a nice range, and of course with the cream products it's much easier to mix, so I can make a custom shade if necessary. First off, I like to keep 2 matte paint pots. I cannot say that. Matte paint pots. I keep one, it's more of a pinky tone, in Painterly, and then one in Soft Ochre. This is what they look like. They're really nice for cutting out the crease if I don't want to use concealer, and if someone doesn't have dry under eyes like me, or I mean eyelids like me, then I will use this to prime their eyes. Next, I like to use the Too Faced Shadow Insurance and Glitter Glue. These ones are just so good. They're my tried and true. They always work for me if I do traditionally prime the lids. And then this is such a good glitter adhesive. For pencil liner, I like to use the Smashbox Always On Liner, and I have them in brown, white, and black. And these are so good because they're waterproof, but they also allow you to smudge a little bit when you first lay them down. So you can create like a smokier eye. They're so good. I recommend them. They're a little bit pricey, but they're totally worth it. I also like the Inglot Gel Liner in number 77. This stuff is so good. It's waterproof and it's super creamy and easy to use. I keep some mascara. This is my go-to, the L'Oreal Lash Paradise, and this is waterproof, of course. Generally for makeup artists, generally for makeup artists, you're going to be needing waterproof mascara. Brides cry. In general, people cry. Also just lasts longer. I do have a little travel regular mascara, but I never use it because it's not waterproof. Then you always want to keep a handy dandy pencil sharpener. This one by NARS is really, really nice. It's like $9, totally worth it, and your brush or your pencils will not be cracked. Loose glitter. This isn't anything fancy, it's just by NYX, but it gets the job done if I need it. A lot of my clients don't ask for glitter, unfortunately. I would love to have someone do some like super dramatic glittery eye, but it just doesn't happen for me. I'm usually doing pretty neutral looks for bridal parties, but I have it just in case, and I have it in pretty common colors like a bronzy gold, pink-ish, like a cool pink, and then a silver. This is another thing where travel size are so good. Holiday kits, so cheap, and you can get something that you might not use super often, but it's nice to have on hand. That's how I feel about these Stila Magnificent Glitter and Glow. I think that's what they're called. I don't know. They're super nice. They're opaque, and since I don't use them often, I don't have like a huge bulky product sitting in my bag. I swear these things are almost double the size usually, so it's really nice having small ones in multiple colors. So I like to keep those on hand. So next, for face palettes, I keep the Morphe 8W palette in my kit now. I just got it, but it's so beautiful and the shades are really wearable. I also have another blush palette that I'll throw in if I think I need it, but since I know the client that I'm going to be working on tomorrow, these shades will be really nice for her, so this is what I decided to keep. And then also I have the Morphe 8L palette. This palette is really nice. The shades over here, you can tell by the names, like Supernova Cosmic, they have like a shift to them that isn't really that wearable, so I don't often use them on clients. But the bronzer shades over here are really nice in this contour, so that's why I pack the palette, because the bronzers are useful to me and I don't have to bring singles. Also, I haven't mentioned it yet, but this is the MAC travel kit or travel makeup case, and it is perfect for working makeup artists, just because it comes with the containers, and then the netted area to be able to see what's in your kit is really useful. So now I'm going to go on to the other side. I already have the stuff packed, but I will just kind of like pull everything out and show you what's in here. So firstly, I like to keep the Cinema Secrets brush cleaner, and I keep it in this little squirt bottle because it's just what's convenient. I have the really large bottle as well that I just refill it with. That's this right here. It's such a good brush cleaner. This is honestly the best if you're gonna get something for your kit. It is a little pricey at first, but a little goes a long way and it lasts a really long time. I keep that, and then I also keep the Vera Mona color switch. And this is so convenient when you are working on the same person but don't really want to switch brushes. I have it cleaned. Sometimes it stains, but I just clean this so it's nice and ready to be used again. And you can flip sides, like if you're using another client, and then I'll just spray this with alcohol between clients if necessary. First, what every makeup artist needs and should have in their kit at all times is either a metal palette or those adhesives that go on your hand so that your hand is sanitary. Of course, you can sanitize your hands and ask the client if they're comfortable with you working off of it. A lot of clients are, but you should always ask just in case. What else I keep in these little zipper areas is an eyelash curler and then some scissors. And then I keep my lash tool. This is by Tarte. It's really good and it's nice and sturdy, so I really enjoy this one. And then I keep my lash glue. I use the House of Lashes because it is waterproof and latex free, but I am going to be switching out because I found a new one that I like, or that I'm working on seeing if I like or not. So yeah, that's what I keep in that little zipper pouch. Of course, you can keep whatever you want, but these pouches, or this bag in general, is just so good, and it was really well thought out for working makeup artists. Next, I keep Disposables. I just put it in this bag because it's easy and convenient, but you want to make sure that you have enough disposables on hand for however many clients you're doing. I'm only doing one tomorrow, so I don't have that much, but I have these dual-ended Q-tips. They're flat and round on one side and then pointy on the other side. And then I have some mascara wands. These ones are silicone, and they just use the least amount of product but still give a nice lift to the lash. And then of course disposable wands, and then I have some shadow shields in there too. And then next I use these Almay makeup eraser sticks. I don't use these often because sometimes they like go wonky and don't work, but when they do work, they're really nice. You just crack it and then makeup remover comes, and so you can like clean up any edges or if you mess up on eyeliner. So this is really handy to have. And then next, of course, I have my hand sanitizer, kind of like a neutral scent. That way it's not likely to offend anyone when it's on my hands. But of course I ask, and if I do ask and they are very sensitive to scents, I'll usually just go wash my hands. That way I don't have to be causing a headache or whatever. And then I also keep these Beauty So Clean makeup or cosmetic sanitizing wipes. I'll use these to wipe down my eyelash curler or my scissors, the lash applicator, or after I sharpen any kind of pencil or cream, I wipe it. And this is just an extra step to make sure that you're being sanitary. It's very, very important with working makeup artists. You have to be sanitary, and the client needs to see you being sanitary because that keeps them at it eases their mind. And then it's not like awkward if they have to ask you or whatever. So just make it obvious that you're sanitizing things. And you can also use alcohol, but this is just more convenient for me. You can get them a lot of places. Beautylish, Camera Ready Cosmetics, Namies, all kinds of places. So I would really recommend picking these up if you want the convenience. So for the palettes that I bring, aside from the ones on the other side of this flap, I like to bring not too many, especially when I know what I'm doing or the client and I know kind of what they are expecting. You can pack accordingly. Of course, that's not always an option. So if that is something that you're worried about, I would rather overpack to an extent than be underprepared. So just keep that in mind when you're packing your kit. Sorry, that cut me off, but it's pretty versatile. It has a little bit of deeper shades. Again, I don't often work on deeper skin tones, so this just works for me. I do have stuff at home if I know or don't know if I'm going to be working on some with deeper skin tone, but usually I'm not, so this is what I'll bring. Next, of course, I use the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette for contouring. It's just super nice and it works on a lot of people. The powders are very blendable, so I like to keep this in my kit. For shadows, I really like the Lorac Pro palettes. They are nice and slim, but they have a lot of shades in them. This is the one that I get the most use out of. You can see it's kind of beat up. And the second one, this is the Pro 3. I use this one, I have been using it more this summer just because I feel like it's more of that like rose gold, but the shade right here really gets people because of fall and everything. So I have started to use this one more and I make sure to bring it with me every time. So now venturing into larger palettes, I only like to bring like 2 max with larger palettes just because they take up so much space when you're working in them and also in your actual case, so keep that in mind. This is the Morphe 35O, and this is just perfect for the season, and a lot of people just want like very neutral looks. I know with brides and bridal parties in general, I'm using so many neutral looks that it just makes sense to bring such a large palette that I know I'll get a lot of use out of. Yes, I use a lot of Morphe just because it's affordable, it's easy to replace if something happens to it, and the shadows are really good quality for the price, so I don't see a problem in using it. The last palette I bring, and this is like the kicker, everyone loves when I bring this palette, and it's the Jaclyn Hill palette. It's just so versatile. There are so many colors. You can create so many good looks, and then these shadows are so reflective, which is what a lot of people want. And I don't use these very often, but when I need to, they're so helpful to have in such a neutral palette. But yeah, this formula is amazing, and I am confident in bringing this with me almost every time. Of course, I have other palettes that I'll bring if I need to or if I want to change it up, but this is like my general go-to setup. Now for brows, this is probably my favorite part of makeup and my kit in general, just because I love brows. I think it really transforms a face, especially if someone's not used to doing their brows. So of course I am a hardcore Anastasia fan. Her dip brow is so good, creamy, buildable. It doesn't dry out for me. I have heard some people say that it does, but I keep a wide range of colors. Right here I have 7, and I just think they are so good. I also keep 4 brow wiz on hand, and these are also really nice, especially if someone has more full brows and they just need a few areas like shaded in. With these, I will say, make sure if you're using the spoolie, make sure you're sanitizing it and cleaning it like you would do a spoolie on a makeup brush, because that's gross and it harbors bacteria, but I do love them and I keep them on hand for that. And then of course I have my brow gels. This is the 24-hour brow setter, and then the clear brow gel by Anastasia Beverly Hills. They're both great. This brush is more of like a comb, whereas the Anastasia one is like a spoolie general, or like a spoolie typical brow gel. And then for people who like more of muted brows, I keep the Pro Brow Palette, or Brow Pro Palette. And this was one of the very first things I ever bought for my kit, of course because I love brows, and just because this is literally all you need. If you cannot afford to get even a ton of drugstore pomades, get a Brow Pro palette. I do recommend the Anastasia, but there are others. And this, you can just wet your brush a little bit, go in with your powder, and then you can even set it with this brow primer. I used to put this all over the brow first and then go in with the powder because it sticks, but really if you dip your spoolie in this, you can set the brows with this and then just use water for the pigment, and it still lasts just as long. Alright, so for the last little area, I keep my Beauty So Clean sanitizing spray. I spray all of my powders, like the dip brow, I'll spray this with it after I wipe it out. This is like my go-to. It is so good and convenient. Of course you could just use alcohol, but I just bought this with those little wipes over there, so that's why I have it, and I will never use anything else. Of course, I keep the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. This is so good. It literally melts makeup into the face, and it looks so beautiful and dewy. I also have the Makeup Forever Mist and Fix. I don't use this too often anymore, but it is very, very good, and I like to keep it on hand. This is like the long wear duo for me. I spray all of my clients with the all-nighter first, and then Morphe Continuous Setting Mist after, and their makeup will last 12 plus hours easily. Of course, we can't live without Fix Plus. I use this to wet brushes. I use this to prep the face. I use this for anything. It's so good. It's not glorified water in my opinion, and I just really like it. I think it calms the face as well, so I like to keep that on hand. And lastly, I keep the MAC Pro makeup remover, and this is so good. It does have oil in it, so I only use it when I need that. It's really good for waterproof makeup. But if you're just like cleaning up, I wouldn't go in with this. I would just go in with like a baby wipe or one of these situations right here, but it is very good and I love to keep it on hand. Alright, so next I like to pack my lashes, and I put them in this little zipper pouch right here because it's actually very roomy. I keep many styles of lashes in my kit just because I like to be prepared if someone, one, changes their mind, or two, has a different preference. So the first ones that will always be in my kit are the Ardell Whiskies. I buy them in this very large pack, and they're so good. They're so long. They're pretty dramatic on certain eye types, and this is just like a bridal staple. Either brides or bridesmaids always wearing the Ardell Wispies. Next, I have really fallen in love with the Ardell Faux Mink lashes. These are the 811s. I actually wore these in one of my recent videos, but they are so good. They're so soft, and they're a little more dramatic than like the Wispies since they're more full and they're not as spaced out, but they're still very, very light and neutral and not something that's going to overpower the eye. Next, I like to keep the Ardell Demi Wispies. These are just a little bit shorter versions of Ardell Whiskies, and this is great again for older ones who don't want a very dramatic eye, or anyone who doesn't want a dramatic eye. I use these a lot on younger girls or people who have not worn eyelashes before, and they always look very beautiful. Next, I like to keep individuals in my bag because you never know when you're going to need them, and they really can be good for customizing a look. I like to keep the double ups because they're a little more dramatic, but then I also keep the like basic individuals just because you never know, and you can do like a nice like staggered dramatic eye with these lashes together. And lastly, I like to keep two more dramatic eyelashes. These are the double Wispies, so they're a little bit more dramatic than the first Wispies that I showed you. But they're still about the same length, if not a little bit shorter. They're just a little more full. And then I keep the 252 Mega Volumes. These are for someone who wants very dramatic makeup, very dramatic eye, just because they are like sexy and fluffy and just so beautiful. Ardell truly has like some of the best lashes, and they're really affordable. So on the other side of this bag, if you have a Zuka or a traveling case, this actually has little slits so you can slide it on the handle and carry it on top of whatever case you're doing. This is good for like makeup artists that are going to be on set and they need like a lot of product, or they're going to be working on multiple people, or hair and makeup artists. So it's very convenient, and I'm glad they thought of it. But there's also a pocket here, and that's where I keep my little folder. This just has a notebook if I need to take any notes or write down any information, especially for trials. If I have a bridal contract, I'll keep it in this side right here. And then I have my business cards. And then also in that same place, I will just keep some wet ones. This is really good if you need to sanitize the area or just clean up anything. Sometimes I'll clean up my makeup palette and then go in with water or that sanitizing spray after, but they're just nice to have on hand. Alright, so lastly, I like to bring this container right here when I am doing makeup. It's super good for brushes. I like to separate the eye and eyebrow brushes and then the face brushes on the right side. And I keep the middle bare usually so that I can put any dirty brushes in there so I know what I used and didn't use. And then since I only have one client, I'm only bringing 2 beauty blenders. These are the beauty blender, or if I could talk, these are the Beauty Blender Pros. They're my favorite just because they're black. They're not going to look super dirty. Of course, they're clean every time I use them, but I just like, they look more professional being black, especially because the pink or lighter colored ones can stain. But yeah, so I have an assortment of brushes that I like to bring. You want to bring like quite a few eye brushes and face brushes because you never know what you're going to run into or what someone's going to ask for. So always be over prepared, especially with brushes. Of course, you can use that Cinema Secrets brush cleaner to clean everything up, and I always bring a little towel so that I have something to swirl the brush on and get the product off. I also like to bring these crocodile clips, just if I need to swoop someone's hair back while I'm working on them. And then I also like to keep some of the Garnier micellar water, again, for the Q-tips if I need to clean anything up, and just in general, I love this stuff. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I will link like general products down below, that way you guys know what to get, or if you don't have time to watch the video, you can look down there and just go buy the products or go check out the products, whatever you want to do. I will say being a makeup artist is expensive. The startup cost is kind of wild, but it pays off in the long run, especially if it's something that you're passionate about. And having quality products really does make a difference. When I first started, I went to the drugstore and I got Revlon Color Stay and L'Oreal Lumi. That did me good for quite a while. So if you can't go in and buy all these expensive products right off the bat, go to the drugstore, research, make sure you're finding something that's good and suitable for all skin types, and do your thing. If you're passionate about makeup, you can start from the bottom, you can work your way up. I'm not even anywhere near the top, but I had to start somewhere and I'm gonna keep moving forward. So I hope this was helpful for anyone that is, anyone that is curious about being a makeup artist or is wanting to get started. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!